Now let's go ahead and check if our API gateway is working correctly or not. Simply copy the API endpoint and put it in your browser. As you can see, it's working correctly. So now let's get ahead and secure our API gateway. So simply select your API gateway. And make sure you are in your get method under your resources. After that, click on method integration. As you can see here, the API key required is set to false. Now click edit, and after that click on save. API key required. So you can see API key required is set to true. Now let's create API keys. So on your left hand side at the bottom corner you can see API keys. Click on it. Now select create API key and put in some name for your API keys. You can also select for custom API key, or you can select auto generate. For now, let's select auto generate. So we have created our API key. Make sure you save this API key, copy and paste it in a notepad. After this, we need to create usage plans. So on your left hand side, just above API keys, click on usage plans. Now click on create usage plan. Now let's set a name for our usage plan. You can also write and give descriptions, and below you can select the throttling limit for API calls and quotations as well. So for now we can just disable it and click create usage plan. Now after this, click on the name of the usage plan that we created, and now we have to add an API stage. Click add API stage, select the API DB demo function stage. Let's click test. You can click whichever you made as a test. Now click on add to usage plan. So it's successfully added. So now to apply these changes, we need to redeploy our API. So click API DB demo function, and we need to deploy it again. Click on deploy, select stage, deploy. So it's deployed again. Now our next step would be testing our API gateway with ThunderClient using the API keys that we generated. So simply go to Visual Studio Code and open up the ThunderClient extension, create new request and paste in your API endway. So after that, under the header section, put in the header key value, paste the header key value in header, and in the value section put in your API key. After that, click on send request. Let's test our API with just normal configuration without enabling the API keys. So let's open your gateway. As you can see, the API keys required is set to false. Whenever you make some changes, make sure to deploy the API to apply the changes. And after you deploy it, get back to the Lambda function and refresh the page and open ThunderClient and click new request and put in your API endpoint and click send. So as you can see, it's making requests, so it's working. Now let's go ahead and enable our API keys. So open your API gateway. So this time we're gonna make the API key required to true. Click API key required and click save, and make sure to deploy your API. Select the stage and click on deploy. And after deploying, now let's get back to ThunderClient and let's make our request again. Click on send. As you can see, it's giving a message missing authentication token. Now in the same request, let's go ahead and fill in our API keys and header in the header section. So click headers, and in the header section put in your header, and in the value put in your API key, and let's set up the request again. So paste the header and paste the and after that click on send. Make sure you select get method, and there you go. Hi guys, let's get started with the hands-on week 3 tutorial. So for this week, make sure you have everything installed. For instance, make sure you have installed Git, Node.js to get started. So let's get started. So our very first step is going to be configuring and connecting our GitHub with the Visual Studio Code. To configure Git with your VS Studio Code, make sure you have already installed Git on your system. After configuring Git in your VS Studio Code, open the terminal, and we need to set up Git with a Git username and Git password. So make sure you have created a GitHub account previously, and after that you can copy your Git username and your email. So after that, in your command line, put in command git config global name, and after the space you can put your name, git name. I'm going to put mine. Now after that, global user email. After that, put in your email address that you use to sign up with GitHub. First, let's go ahead and clone the GitHub repo. So for that, for now I'm inside a bootcamp folder. So go ahead and create a folder. You can just open folder, select directory, right click, and open up a new folder, and after that you'll be inside the folder. So when you're inside the folder, go to terminal, click on new terminal. You can also copy the code from the LMS. So as you can see, we have successfully cloned the repo. We have a person next SSR folder. After this, make sure you're inside the correct project directory. For now, I'm inside bootcamp, so I need to change my directory. So for that, type cd person next SSR. So I'll be inside the project directory. Now after this, as you can see in the project folder, there is a readme file. You can also follow through and have a look. The readme files also contains information about how to run it locally. So first, now get ahead and install the necessary dependencies if you don't have it. So now give the command npm install. Now we can start the development server by running npm run dev So the output is ready, as you can see. So now you can see our web application is now running. So you can open a web browser and navigate to the URL provided by the development server. So it's localhost 3000, and you should see the running application, and you can test the application's functionality in the browser. And also, while the server is running, you can change the code and save it. The server will automatically reload the changes and allow you to see updates in the real time in the browser. In the next step, we are going to deploy the application in AWS Amplify. So for that, you need to first make your own repository and push your local code to your repository. So for that, log into your GitHub, and after you log in, on your dashboard on your left hand side you can see new. So click on new, and you can give it a name. Let's give name person1. I already have one. So you can also give it a description. This is my repo for the app, and you can set it to public or private. I'm setting it up for public, and now create repository. Paste it in. So yeah, it's successfully pushed to your GitHub repo. Now get back to your GitHub and check if that exists or not. As you can see, the person1 repo. So your all local code has been pushed to GitHub. Now let's deploy our app in AWS Amplify. So simply click on get started. Select Amplify hosting, host your web app. Here you can connect your Git repo. Click get started. Select GitHub, click continue. So after that, in the advanced setting, so under the build image, we need to provide build image reference. So node, without this the Next.js build will fail. For environment variables, we need to enter our API header and API key. So let's go and paste your API header and key. Now paste your API key as well. After that, click next. Save and deploy. As you can see, the create app is created and it's under build. On the left side you can see a web link for the app. You can open this link in a web browser and access your app after the build is completed. For environment variables, we need to enter our API header. Click on get API started key. So let's go and paste your API header and key. Now paste your API key as well. After that, click next. Save and deploy. As you can see, the create app is created and it's under build. On the left side you can see a web link for the app. You can open this link in a web browser and access your app after the build is completed. Now let's deploy our app in AWS Amplify. So simply select Amplify hosting, host your web app. Here you can connect your Git repo. Click get started. Select GitHub, click continue. So after that, in the advanced setting, so under the build image, we need to provide build image reference. So node, without this the Next.js build will fail.